Hey, everybody, it's Chris Mahan. It is June 29th. Tomorrow's the 30th, my birthday, but also the end of June, which marks the end of Men's Mental Health Month. Now, this last couple of weeks, I was trying to put together a bunch of mental health podcasts. I've been reaching out to people, and it was kind of a last minute thing on my part. So the scheduling has been kind of a little bit of a issue at the moment. However, I am still putting those shows together as we go on to the rest of the year because 1 month is not enough to bring awareness to what's going on with men of all cultures and ages. And this is something that has been, concerning me for quite some time for the simple fact that we see the results of angry guys. We see the results of societal norms that make it seem as if you are a weak person or not masculine or not really manly, whatever the case may be. And if you're a 70s, 80s kind of guy like myself, then you grew up with the idea that you man up, you buck up, you pull up your bootstraps, you deal with it. And that's a good way to build some grit and resiliency. However, over time, that is not how we are designed as human beings. We are emotional creatures. Men and women are both emotional creatures, whether they want to believe it or not. And just because society or cultural norms or religious norms or the current fads, whatever you want to call them, tell us one thing over another, the fact is we are still biological human beings and we have a range of emotions for a reason. Our emotions are here to tell us something. If we're needing to get something off our chest, or if we're really happy about something, or something's kind of egging us to, maybe go another way, something's happening, or maybe we just know that we don't feel good about something. Maybe it's about ourselves, maybe it's about a relationship, maybe it's about something that's happened in the past. Maybe we don't want something to happen, to repeat itself that happened in the past in the future, or maybe we just are having a moment of insecurity or a moment of doubt or a moment of fear. Whatever it is, our emotions are there to tell us something, to stop and pause, to listen to what's happening, to trust that gut instinct. However, when we are guys, we are told that we are not allowed to show emotion. We're not allowed to be concerned or fearful. That makes us weak. That might bring shame to our family. If you're in an Eastern culture or maybe in a Latin culture, that might bring shame to your family or to your religion. If you are, in an Italian family, maybe that, of course, makes you weak. I was just talking to a very good friend of mine who happens to be Black. And I said, hey, tell me what it's like in the Black community when it comes to men's mental health. Like, what's the deal? He's like, hey, man, we don't talk about it. You deal with it on your own. It's your own issue, your own problem. You just kind of suck it up. And the result of this is we see men turning, well, actually young boys too, young boys, teenagers, 20s, 30s, dads. We see them turn to other outlets to express themselves. Usually it's an anger. They show violence, and the only range of emotion that they can show that's acceptable is anger or avoidance. A lot of times they'll just avoid stuff, but then they hit the bottle. They become drinkers, they become drug addicts, or maybe they go mess around outside the family because they want to have some sense of control, maybe some power in their life because they feel powerless in many ways. And I do talk about this in my book behind me, Parental Leadership. The new version's coming out very soon on Audible, and the new version of that book behind me, the white one, will be out very soon in paperback and hardcover again on Amazon. But in there, I talk about the weak father. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast at all, you know that I've been talking about the weak father for a long time. And this is not a slam on guys. It is not what you think. When I say weak, that is the acronym for how men feel when they are not allowed to show their emotions and what can happen to them. And as a result of this, they turn to alcohol, they turn to violence, they turn to domestic violence, they turn to complete emotional shutdown. They don't know how to express themselves without the fear of ridicule, judgment. And this is something that, again, leads to a lot of other issues for men. When you are stressed out all the time, then you can maybe have a heart attack or you get an ulcer or other things can happen. Suicide rate in men over 50 is very, very high. And we need to talk about that. We talk about the 22 in the military, and I'm all for that. I support the military. You can see behind me, my boys are both Marines, and I support the military 1000%. And I also want to tell people that just being a guy in general, we have a lot of issues going on. We have a lot of things happening in our lives that we don't want to, share with our families, share with our spouses, share with our coworkers. And as a result of that, sometimes we feel very alone, isolated. Now, again, when I've said this before, everybody's giving me a hard time, like, oh, you just got to suck it up and do what you got to do, and this whole suck it up buttercup thing and all that kind of crap. And yeah, I get you have to have grit and you have to have perseverance and fortitude. I'm all for that. And I teach that and talk about that. But even in those times when you're trying to make it to the next level or trying to dig yourself out of a hole or trying to just get to where you feel good about what you're doing, there's sometimes areas in your life that don't feel that great. And you can be full of doubt. And if you don't have the support system that is so incredibly needed at home, especially from your spouse, your friends, your family, that creates a big problem for men. And unfortunately, it's usually those closest to us that can sometimes be the biggest doubters. Maybe it's their fear that they're projecting onto us, whatever it may be. Everybody's different, but I just know that sometimes that does happen. So as we wrap up June, we wrap up Men's Mental Health Month, I just want you to understand that this doesn't end tomorrow. Okay. Just because June is over doesn't mean that you cannot go into therapy. You cannot go into counseling. If counseling and therapy isn't your thing, maybe you're just too embarrassed, you're still not there yet, find someone close to you. Find a good friend that isn't in the same boat. Because what happens is if one's complaining about a wife or a job or, debt, whatever it may be, the other one's going to pile on and it's just going to be a big mess at that point. There's no help there. You need to find someone who's actually going to listen and just be quiet and listen and let you vent. Someone that you can trust, someone that you can tell your deepest, darkest fears, concerns. Maybe you've got some secrets that are really eating you up. I don't know, whatever it is, but you got to find someone that you can trust that's in your life that you can actually tell what's going on. Let them listen to you. If they give advice, because they're not therapists or coaches, they probably will. It's kind of a natural thing to do. But the best thing you can do for someone is literally just listen to them. Don't give them advice. Don't tell them what you would do. Don't tell them what your dad did. Just listen and then ask them, well, what does your life look like if this wasn't happening? Can you envision yourself at that next level? Can you envision yourself doing something different? If you don't change what you're doing, can you envision what might happen? And can you live with that? These are simple questions that then put it back on the person and not you to be the end all be all. You want to ask them some open-ended questions to think about, well, what can I do? What are my resources? Who do I have as a support team? If I don't do this, how long can I continue this type of life? These are the things that people need to ask themselves, but sometimes they don't want to. So having a trusted friend, a trusted family member that they can listen to, and you then can ask these questions to get them to think about how they can fix the problem on their own. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy. Like, well, how could they fix it on their own? If they could fix it on their own, why do they do therapy? Because a lot of people are afraid to even start. And sometimes we just need that person in our life to give us the okay to ask those questions and to try and find answers without judgment, ridicule, and break this cycle of this idea that you're not a man if you have issues, if you have a concern about something. It's a terrible way to live. And I know a lot of people who have. And the reason I bring this up is because someone who works with people and I work with human behavior and I'm trying to help people be the best they can be, I have to touch on all these subjects. I have to touch on all this stuff. I'm fine personally. I have a very good life and my boys are great. My family's good. My dad did pass away a year ago, but that was kind of, it's life. My mom's still alive. My family's all happening. So I don't have a lot of really big issues, but I know people who do. And I want this podcast to be a place where people can come, reach out, ask questions. If you want to be on this podcast and talk about your journey, talk about things you've dealt with, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me at leadyourteen@gmail.com and we'll talk about your situation, see if it's, something we can put on the podcast. And if not, we'll just talk about it privately and not worry about it. I don't have to put you on there on the whole World Wide Web. If you don't want it, we can just talk privately. But I want this to be a place of community where guys can talk and dads can come together. That's another issue. Dads are going through a lot right now, and dads are going through so much in the court systems and divorces and different things. And the economy's been up and down. I tell young people that in your lifetime, you're going to change your career path about 5 or 6 times. And that was unheard of 25, 30, 40 years ago. Now it's very standard. And people need to be aware of that and be ready for it. So when it does happen, they're not so freaked out that they can, okay, I can find other skills. I can find out what I can do. Make a plan for that. And today, a lot of dads are realizing that this career they thought they'd have forever isn't there for whatever reason. or the relationship that they thought they'd have forever isn't there, or the relationship with their kids that they so valued when they were younger, and then something happened, whether it was a divorce or whatever, whatever the case was, where now there's a separation of like a break in that trust with their kids, and dads are trying to figure out, well, how do I get this back, or how do I deal with the courts, or how do I deal with, an ex-spouse that just will not help me be with my kids or allow me to be with my kids. There's so much going on that I want to make this podcast something for everybody. And ladies, if you got some input, I'd love to hear from you too. This is not a bash women podcast. I'm just trying to get everything out there so everybody can be healthy, live up to your full potential, be happy, have a great family relationship, and live to your fullest, because life is short and we can't wait for that next day because it may not come. And I don't want people to wake up one day and go, wow, why didn't I do this? Or how come this happened? Or why was I so afraid? There's no reason to be. There's a huge support system in this country. There's a huge support system on the internet. There's a huge support system right around the corner from you. You don't even realize it. And you got to believe. You got to truly, truly believe that there are people out there that want to help you and see you succeed, because God knows there's so many people out there that want to see us all fail. And it's nice to know that there are people that want to see us rise above. And that's going to happen right here in this podcast. I've been doing this for a long time now, and I want this to be an awesome community podcast where we can all talk, share ideas, and sometimes just be there for one another. It's very, very important for that. So I'm going to wrap this one up. You guys have an amazing week. And happy 4th of July. I'll do definitely a 4th of July podcast, because that's, this country is amazing. It's given everyone so much and it deserves that thank you. So you guys have a great night. You have a great week. I'll see you all real soon.